So a couple years ago, I heard a story about a couple friends. They were really good friends, and they took off on an insane journey together. See, what had happened was one of them had found a case that belonged to somebody. It belonged to somebody, and they knew that it was special to them, but they had lost it. The person had lost it. And so these two friends decided they were going to do whatever it took to get this really important case that was lost by somebody back to that person. And so, man, they did everything they could. No money, no plan, really. They quit their jobs, they sold their vehicles, and they took off on this crazy journey across the country. I mean, along the way, man, they just ran into adversity after adversity, things that I think for you and I mean, it would just cause us to just turn back, go back home. I mean, they had issues with food. They were struggling with food, and they got to a point where as they got through the Midwest and up into the Rockies, I mean, it was so cold, they only had enough clothes to keep one of them warm at a time. Finally, they arrived at the town that they believed this person lived because they were willing to do whatever it took. Because when something matters like this, you do whatever it takes to get it back to whoever lost it. And so they get there, they get to the town, and they realize when they get to the town, they don't have the information needed to find the person they're looking for. All they can remember is that the person's last name started with an S. Was it Swami or Swimmy or Slappy or Samson? Finally, one of them remembers, like, hey, just take a look at the case. And it's right there, Samsonite. They were way off. But finally, they got the case back to the person it belongs to. I think we have a picture of Harry and Lloyd who did the trek. Yeah, there they are. I mean, everything they could do to get that lost package back to the person it belonged to. And so why do I tell you a stupid story like that? Because stories are powerful. Stories are powerful, even made up stories. They carry so much weight and power in our lives. I mean, just think about all the different stories that have shaped you and shaped our culture. Stories like To Kill a Mockingbird or Huck Finn or Pride and Prejudice, The Color Purple. These are stories that put names and faces and imagination to the problem of systemic racism in our culture. Or things like Robin Hood or Cinderella, where we learn that, man, even the ones on the lowest rung of the ladder can eventually make it to the top. Or Justice for the Poor. Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, they give us this idea, this picture of heroism and perseverance, what it means for us. And so it lays it all out for us. The most powerful stories for us, they stand the test of time, not because they're true, but because they hold truth in them. A classic example of this is the tortoise and the hare. Like, we all know that to be true. The longer we've lived our lives, the longer we understand that slow and steady wins the race. Not because an actual hare and tortoise raced each other. So not because the story is true, but because the story holds truth. Jesus taught this way. That's what we're in the middle of this series on parables. Jesus taught this way, and I think he taught this way because he knew that his first century followers and humanity throughout all of time connects best with story. It impacts us more. That's the way we're wired. In fact, when you look at the first 4 books of our New Testaments, the biographies of Jesus' life, you have Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they all kind of write in the same format. It's kind of a chronological story of Jesus' life. John writes a little bit differently. He's got a little bit different way to go about it. I really love reading John. But the first 3, they kind of write the same. And actually, a third of those first 3 books in the New Testament are made up stories from Jesus. Stories that he used to help us understand God and his kingdom and our place in his kingdom. These stories communicate a single message and almost always require a decision or action on our part. They're packed full of illustrations to make it impossible for us to ignore the immediate action that's needed by us in the moment. This left so many people confused. Jesus' idea for teaching parables was all about disruption. His parables introduced new ideas or new thoughts or ways of thinking that pushed against what everybody believed to be true at the time. And this left them all confused and frustrated, even his own disciples. And here's what's awesome is Jesus just left them that way. Like, they don't understand what's going on. They're super confused. And Jesus is like, peace out. Like just leaves them to figure it out alone. And sometimes he'd explain it to his disciples, sometimes he wouldn't. But today we're going to look at kind of a trio of stories that takes place in the book of Luke. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, the 3rd book of our New Testament. Luke makes an account of Jesus' life. Luke was a doctor who went and he did a bunch of research, and he talked with eyewitness after eyewitness, and he would write down the stories, and he gives us an account of Jesus' life. And he goes in and tells us this awesome story of Jesus telling the story to other people. And I'm going to give some of my own insights as well, because I think the way Jesus tells this story has the potential to make you guys uncomfortable, some of us uncomfortable. I'm going to give some insights to the way I interpret some of this that I know will make you uncomfortable. We're going to watch a video in just a little bit that should make us all feel pretty uncomfortable. Aren't you glad you came today? This is why we're here, right? Just to be uncomfortable together. But it's all for a purpose. Jesus' goal, my goal, is that we would know God. That we would know God, that we would understand his character, that we would be drawn into his kingdom now, that we can live in his kingdom today. And we're going to look at a ton of scripture today. The team in the back is going to do the best they can to keep up with me as I read, but you can always look it up in your own copy of the scriptures or on an app on your phone. We're going to be in Luke 15, and we're going to go through almost all of it together. So Luke 15, verse 1 starts right here. It says, tax collectors and sinners and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. Here's what's awesome about verse 1 as we look at it today. Since the dawn of time, sinners have been avoiding God. They've sewn fig leaves together to hide themselves. They've hid in caves. Anything they can do to get away from the presence of God. Sinners have tried to be away from God, but Jesus teaches in such a way that he draws all men to himself, that he engages all people. And this made the Pharisees and the teachers of the religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. It kind of ticked them off. But Jesus sees an opportunity here that I love. He says, man, I can see there's an opportunity that those that consider themselves religious and do good people and the sinners, that they're actually going to be together, and they're not normally together. And so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to teach both of them something. And so Jesus told them this story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what would he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? For you and I, this seems a little bit off. Like it doesn't fit within our culture, because if we have 100 of something and we lose one, not that big a deal. If we have $100, we lose $1, it's fine, not that big a deal. But not for them. For them, the sheep, a single sheep meant so much to them. There was so much value in it. They would have agreed, all of them listening, they would have understood whether they were shepherds or not. They knew shepherds, and they knew that it was a common thing that if they lost one, they'd put the 99, they'd put the rest in the safety of the pen, and then they'd go out and do everything they could to find that one. We think of shepherds, I don't know, maybe you don't, I do, as like these tiny little frail boys. They weren't. Man, they were burly men. Even if they were young, they were willing to put the 99 in a pen, go out in the dark and go find that sheep before the wolves did. That's the other people looking for the sheep is a wolf to tear it apart, and the shepherd's out there making sure that they get back safe because it was important to them. And when he had found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbors saying, hey, rejoice with me because I found my lost sheep. And this is probably hyperbole. Again, remembering they're kind of burly men. I doubt they're like, hey guys, come celebrate with me. I got my sheep. But I'm sure they did celebrate in some form. Man, they were excited about the opportunity they had to save that one sheep. In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner. Keep that in mind throughout the day. Over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. Let's be honest. If you're in the 99, that's a little frustrating. It's a little discouraging at best, maybe even slightly offensive because, man, I've been here the whole time. Like, why don't you say something about me? And Jesus goes on, he tells another story. Or suppose a woman has 10 silver coins and she loses one. Won't she light a lamp and sweep the entire house and search carefully until she finds it? He's likely speaking of a woman's dowry at this point, which, we don't do this much nowadays, which is great. The dowry would have been equivalent to the woman's value. The amount of her dowry would directly coincide with the type of life that she would live going into the future. The type of spouse that she could pull with that kind of dowry whether she would live poor or rich for the rest of, it's an important thing to her. So losing one of those coins, which would have been a drachma, have been a day's wages for her, is very valuable, not just a joke for her. And when she finds it, she'll call all her friends and neighbors and say, now she would have done that. She'd call them, yeah, she would have done. Rejoice with me because I have found my lost coin. In the same way, there is joy in the presence of God's angels when even one sinner repents. It's pretty evident, but just to clarify the point, to make it clear for all of us today, when you lose something of great value, it becomes a great priority, and you go to great lengths to find it. When you lose something of great value, it becomes a great priority, and you do everything, great lengths to find it. Jesus is saying that same thing for God, that for him it's the same. It seems straightforward, but here kind of comes a twist. Here's the disruption. Jesus tells the first two stories simply as kind of an on-ramp, a setup for the big story that he wants to tell right here. And we go on to verse 11. To illustrate the point further, Jesus told them a story. A man had two sons, and the younger son told his father, I want my share of your estate now before you die. So his father agreed to divide his wealth between his sons. The younger son looks at his dad and says, man, I wish you were dead. I just wish you were dead because right now I could care less about you. I just want my stuff. I want what's coming to me. And a few days later, this younger son packed all his belongings and moved to a distant land, and there he wasted all of his money in wild living. Actually, he wasted all of his father's money and hard-earned money in wild living. You can imagine what wild living is. It's the same for them. It's partying, it's prostitutes, it's drugs, it's drinking until it's all gone. It's wild living. It's the same. And the religious leaders were probably wondering, hey, what's going on here? Because this is a different story. This isn't playing out all happy-go-lucky like the first two were. So what is this one all about? And about the time his money ran out, a great famine swept over the land, and he began to starve. So he persuaded a local farmer to hire him, and the man sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. The young man became so hungry that even the food, the pods he was feeding the pigs looked good to him, but no one gave him anything. And here comes the twist. Here comes the disruption that Jesus is trying to create in this. Verse 17, when he finally came to his senses. When he finally came to his senses. Some of us remember that moment. We remember the moment that we came to our senses, where we looked at our life and said, what am I doing? What am I doing? How did I get to where I'm at? What was I thinking along the way? It becomes a crucial turning point in our lives. We remember the time that we came to our senses. Maybe you were chasing after something. You just simply lost your way. You decided you didn't want to do this thing anymore. You wanted to do it your own way. Then somehow something or somebody helped bring you to your senses. You heard something or you read something or something happened in your life. I call it pivotal circumstances, right? Where something takes place in your life and it's a pivotal circumstance, you can pivot away from God. This event takes place in your life and you can choose to pivot away. You can say, why would you do that to me? How could I believe in a God that would allow? That's a pivotal circumstances. Or we can turn towards him. We can pivot towards him and we can say, hey, this is me. I'm broken. I caused it. There's something in me that caused me to stray, and we turn back towards God. Continuing in verse 17, when he finally came to his senses, he said to himself, hey, at home, even the hired servants have food enough to spare, and here I am dying of hunger. See, for a moment, he's missing home, but he's got to know or think home isn't missing him too much. Home's not missing him because after all, the people at home were the ones he left, the ones he hurt, the ones he dishonored, that he betrayed. They were all at home. But he's like, I'll go home to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. Please take me on as a hired servant. At this point, the Pharisees that are listening, remember he's telling a story to Pharisees, religious people, and sinners. They're sitting there thinking, that's right. That's right. That's the way it works. That sinner better come begging. He better just crawl back home, beg for forgiveness, and then we've got a plan for him. He's got some penance to pay. And so he returned to his father. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. This is the picture that I love to imagine, the father standing on a front porch just waiting for his son. Can you imagine? He sees a shadow of a person crest the hill, and he thinks it could be. It's the same size as my son. And he begins to walk closer, and he begins to recognize that it actually is his son. And what you feel in your heart right now, if you're in the place of the son, then it says a lot about your perception of who God is as your father. If you know the story, let's set all that aside for a second. Let's set it all aside for a second. What if you are the one? What if you are the one walking down that path, walking back home? Do you remember that time? Do you remember? What are you expecting? What do you think is going to take place? Do you imagine your father thinking, man, he's got to come home at some point. She's been out there wasting my money on wild living, disgracing and defaming my name. He's going to have to come home begging. And when he does, man, I'll be waiting for him. If this is how some of you perceive what is actually about to take place, it's to be fair to you, it's because you probably grew up that way. You probably had that experience. You might have come home at one point and not had the love and the joy. You might have had that heavy hand. Or you might think that's how you would react. And so it's the only way you can imagine this taking place. The Pharisees and the religious leaders expected disgust and resentment and rage and frustration. And it seems natural and normal. It's what we would all kind of expect. That kind of you owe me. It's time to pay up type of feeling. But what Jesus says next reveals how God feels about you. It reveals how God feels about lost people who have lost their way. Sinners like you and like me. Because the Father, filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son and he embraced him and he kissed him. This thought came to me as I was preparing this week. Your lostness doesn't lower your value. Your lostness doesn't lower your value. If anything, it raises the urgency of God's pursuit of you. His son said to him, Father, I've sinned against both you and heaven, and I'm no longer worthy of being called your son. But the father isn't having any of it. He's not having any of it. The son's worked so hard. I have no idea how long the journey was, but I'm sure he's rehearsing. He's rehearsing his whole plan. This is what I'm going to say at this point. And I got this little transition line, and then I'll get there. And this is the power. I'm going to drop the bomb here. And he gets there, and the dad has none of it. He doesn't even want to hear it. He doesn't want your rehearsed speeches. Just yesterday morning, I try and start my mornings with Jesus. And so yesterday morning, I'm sitting out on my back patio, and I left my Bible inside. I just wanted to pray. And I sit down and I say these words. I said, Jesus, I feel like I'm a disappointment to you. I don't feel like I'm doing it the way you want me to. I don't feel like I can be what you want me to be. I don't think I'm living out the purposes that you gave me in the way that you want me to. I'm just unloading on him this sense of inadequacy that I feel. And these words come to my mind. These words. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the finest Gucci robe and put it on him. Grab some bling for his finger, put the Jordans on his feet, right? Go grab that Wagyu chunk of meat that I've been dry aging for 40 days. Cut me some fillets because we're about to party. We're going to celebrate with a feast for the son of mine was dead and he's returned back to life. He was lost. He was lost, but now he's found. He was lost, but now he's found, so let's party. What joy. Unlike what we read earlier, this is not hyperbole. He's not overstating anything here. In fact, Luke would tell us just a couple chapters later about another story where Jesus is hanging out with another tax collector and sinners. And he finishes the story this way. The Son of Man, another name for Jesus. Jesus came to seek and to save the lost. He came to seek and to save the lost. That's why he came. Yeah, he came to redeem and restore and reconcile our broken relationship with God. He came for justification. He came for substitutionary atonement. He came for all those big doctrine words you want to use. But if you break it down, all of it goes down to this. He came to seek and to save the lost. That's what he cares about. So yeah, he's going to party when the lost come home. But not everybody gets excited about it. Not everybody gets excited about the lost being found, not in this story and not in our world today. But we read the older brother who's part of the 99. He's part of the 99, just like a lot of us. He was angry and wouldn't go in, and his father came out and begged him. So notice the father goes to him as well. The father goes to him as well, but he replied, all these years I've slaved away for you, never once refused to do a single thing for you. I've served you, I've given for you, I've attended for you, I've done it all for you. Yet when this son of yours comes back after squandering all your money on prostitutes, you celebrate by killing the fatted calf. I need to do this for a moment if you'll let me. Let me talk to Copper Hills Church family for a second. So if you're new here, or if you're kind of seeking out this whole thing, if you're trying to figure out this whole Jesus thing, you guys can kind of check out for a second. I'm going to talk to my people for just a second. Jesus came to seek and to save the lost. Are we clear on that? That he came to seek and to save the lost, and he's called you and me to go and make disciples. He came to seek and save the lost. He's called you and me to go and make disciples. But if we're not careful, I feel compelled to be a voice that continues to push us this direction, because if we're not careful, we can easily find ourselves playing the role of the older brother. Man, I'm all in on seeking and saving the lost. That sounds awesome. Let's go do it. Right up until I have to park down the street, because I don't like walking. I don't want to have to take the shuttle. Just right up to that point, that'd be great. Man, I'm totally in for making disciples. Let's go and make disciples. Up until about 80% capacity, because I don't really want to worry about the extra 100 seats. I kind of like it how it is. So if we could just keep it like that. But here's the deal. None of us are older brothers. None of us are older brothers. We're all just younger brothers who have forgotten where we came from. And his love for you, and his love for those that are still wandering, still searching, still seeking, extends so far beyond. It extends uncomfortably beyond anything we could ever imagine.
Can I help you?
No, I'm fine.
There is nothing left to say. I'm going.
Please, just sit down and talk to me.
No! I've made up my mind. I can't take this anymore!
Can't take what? Kelsey, please, just listen to yourself.
I don't want to listen anymore. Not to me, not to you. I just want to go!
Kelsey! I love you.
Hey, you all right? Come on, get in the car.
There she is. Gotcha. Come on, sweetie. Oh, you can't hide from me. You can't hide from me.
I'll pack your cheapest cigarettes.
Can I see your ID? Happy early birthday.
What?
Tomorrow's your birthday. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
It's just what I wanted. I got it.
What is it from? Happy birthday, sweetie. I love you. Mwah. Now go open some more presents.
Dad. I don't know what to say. It's my birthday tomorrow. I am so sorry. I was thinking of maybe stopping by tomorrow. I don't know. If you knew the things that I've done. I love you. I just wanted you to know that.
This is it. You can drop me off here. I can just walk from here, thanks.
Your lostness doesn't lower your value. It simply raises the urgency of his desire to come and find you, his urgency to come find you. And some of you feel like you don't deserve to be welcomed back in, that you don't deserve to be welcomed in at all or back in. And that you don't deserve that kind of love. And you're right. You certainly don't. I don't. But Paul, he makes it clear in a letter that he wrote to the church in Rome. He says, for all have sinned. We've all fallen short. But God shows his love for us that while we were still lost, while we were still searching, while we were still sinners, he died for us. Not when we deserved it, but when we didn't. And some are here today and you feel lost one way or the other. Either you've never come home in the first place, you've never come to your Father and said, hey, I know that I need you as my Savior. I know that I've sinned. Or you have, and you've wandered away, and today's a day for you. It's a coming home party, right? And so church, we have two options. Two options. We're either a part of the search party or we're a part of the homecoming party. Let's be a part of both. Your Heavenly Father wants so badly to welcome you home. Would you pray with me? For those of us who have yet to come back home to our Heavenly Father, as He's been searching so fervently for you. If today you feel like, man, I'm ready. And today is just the first step in a lifelong journey of walking with Him as your forgiver and as your leader and being a part of His kingdom here on earth. We do that by simply confessing our need for Him. We say, Jesus, I know that you love me. Jesus, I know that I'm a sinner, that I've been lost, that I've gone astray. Would you forgive me? And then asking Him to be the one to lead you from this day forward as your Lord, that you would begin to walk with Him for the rest of your life. Jesus, I thank you for the way that you taught in such a way that your listeners back then and us today, we can take so much away from what you chose to give through story. Would you open up our eyes as we read even more on our own, as we continue to read your stories and the parables that you told and the way that you taught? How would those affect our lives? How would they change the way that we could live in your kingdom? Would you reveal that to us? And as a church, Jesus, would you allow us the courage and the strength to be a church that walks alongside of you on mission to seek and to save the lost, to do everything that we can to reach one more. Jesus, we love you. Pray all these things in your name. Amen.